Islands and all of southeastern Massachusetts. Politics again today on the Sunday Journal as we roll into the season where a lot of the candidates for many offices around the Cape and the Islands are making their formal announcements. You heard here on our stations and read online at capecod.com that one of the candidates running for Barnstable County Commission this year is Linda Bond from Yarmouth. She is a Republican. She announced her campaign kickoff a couple of weeks ago. Now a declared candidate for Barnstable County Commissioner. She actually has her kickoff coming up on March 13th at the Irish Village. And Linda Bond, who was with us in our news a couple of weeks ago, is now here in studio with us to find out a little bit more about her campaign, and why County Commission. Linda, it's good to see you. Well, Linda and I have known each other for some time. It's good to see you here in studio. This is your first run for political office, right?
Yes, it is, Matt. And again, thank you very much for having me here.
Sure. So we always like to let the candidates take a few moments, as much time as you'd like here, Linda, to tell us who you are. You're running for Barnstable County Commission, yes. But for many people, this will be the first time to hear from you. So who are you? Who's Linda Bond?
Okay, I have been living in the Cape now for 10 years. Prior to that, my brother has a cottage here for 35 years. So I vacation down here with my family. I'm a mother of twin boys who are now 32 years old and a proud grandmother of a 5-month-old baby boy. Like I said, I've been in the Cape for 10 years, and I, just like you, Matt, and all the listeners out there, I love the Cape. I love Cape Cod. I truly believe we have one of the best pieces of real estate in the United States of America. And what I've been seeing over the time that I've been here is there's been a lot of issues that concern me with the Cape and the prosperity of the Cape. And I felt it's time to jump in. There's been a lot of issues going on in the Cape and also with county commissioners. And I feel that there's been a lack of fiscal responsibility. We have been in debt. As you know, there's the budget deficit right now. They did end up raising a deed tax, which I would have definitely voted against. I don't believe that we should be raising any taxes. I think along the way that the county government needed to be a little more proactive in reading the budgets and really balancing the budget.
Now, according to your material, Linda, that you provided for the media, your past experiences include 25 years in management at restaurant and hospitality venues, operation and management of childcare, and also as a professional ice skater. I didn't know that. And
thank you.
And also currently as a business owner. So, talk to us about your professional background. People like to know, where do you come from? What are your influences, if you will?
Yes, and this is why I feel my background would be very good for county commissioner. For over 25 years, I was a manager in many different restaurants, from small restaurants up to the Sheraton Tara. I was a food and beverage manager where I was responsible for scheduling, hiring, firing, doing the budget, which was ordering and receiving food and liquor. You had to keep it at either a 20% liquor cost or a 40% food cost. I dealt more with the liquor than the food. I worked with the head chefs to make sure that everything was balanced in their department. When you were the food and beverage manager, again, you're responsible for all the ordering. I would never over-order things that I knew would not sell in my facility. The vendors really didn't like to meet with me because I always said no to the fancy new rum or the fancy new gin that was out there because I knew where it would sit. And then that goes right into your costs. And that kind of trickles down to when you are a manager of anything, where I also ran my daycare centers, and I had to manage my own income, money, and expenses doing the business, and also running my skating business, the same thing. I loved my ice skating. And now I'm also running a house cleaning business here. All of those businesses take really good management and a really good positive attitude when you are working. I'm the type of employee that puts 110% of myself into what I do, and I feel that my rounded experience with what I have done would really qualify me for this position.
So you've had a successful career in business. You have your own business right now, house cleaning business. You, as you said, you worked in management at a restaurant, hospitality venues. Sheraton Tower is a big operation, so that was obviously a big responsibility. So you've had success in that field. So when I hear a candidate, somebody who comes forward, who comes from that sector, and they decide to run for a public office, I always say, why? Why do you want to jump into the world of politics? Which is, it's a whole new dynamic. What is driving you to say, you know what,
Yeah.
it's time for me to consider public service at this level?
I don't feel it as much as politics as really being a manager for the county and managing the budget with the programs that we oversee that make us a county. And that's why I really think that we need to keep county government here in the county. We have all some great facilities. We have Children's Cove, our Firefighters Academy, the retirement plan that we deal with aging. There's a lot of facilities that I believe if we weren't here overseeing it may go off to Boston and may be out of our control. And as we know, Cape Cod is a special place. I'm really concerned about our tourism. I think that if we don't keep our county up and keep our growth going, it may trickle down to the less and less tourists that may decide to come here.
When you say that you want to keep the county here, what do you mean by that? Are you concerned that some of those functions would end up going back to go to Boston, or we wouldn't have those functions? So when you say you want to keep it here, what do you mean by that?
Yes, I believe that the way the structure of the county government really fits for Barnstable County, being 15 towns in a peninsula where we are, with our concerns with our fishing industries, because we are surrounded by water. I feel that we need to keep our government here in control of the people that live here in Cape Cod.
We're really one of the last kind of strong counties in Massachusetts. As I'm sure you're familiar, as maybe you knew or have done some research, that over the years the state really started to break down the county system. And, there are areas that have regional governments, Franklin, places like that, they have a regional government, or a council of governments, but Barnstable County was able to hold on to that last vestige, if you will,
Yes.
of kind of the old colonial times. Do you believe we still need to have that existing structure the way it is now? And if not, in what ways would you like to see some modernization or some alterations to county government?
Yeah, I think the structure of it is fine. I think the issue is the people that are sitting in the seats. I think we really need to get some fiscally responsible people sitting there and really doing the job of what a county commissioner is. You're responsible for the budget of the county, so you're responsible to take the different programs that come to us with their budgets, and you need to be able to know the money you're taking in and the budgets that they're bringing forth to you. You have to make sure that all those budgets add up to the money you take in. I think along the way they were saying they were letting a lot of budgets go by without really going through them. I think over the years, if they had scrutinized each budget a little bit better, they could have made some cuts. I know Cape Cod, we've lost a lot of our popularity, and now that we don't have as many people living here, the deeds go down, and that's where income goes down, and they should have foresaw that with some of the budgets.
Now, in some of the conversations we've had with city and county officials, when we asked them about the budget issue, and again, the numbers are a little bit fluid right now, but we're looking at maybe about a $2 million or so deficit. Again, those numbers are fluid, so we want to hold anyone down to them. But there definitely is a deficit that's being looked at, and one of the reasons it's given is that over the years, instead of bonding out different projects, the county just paid out cash, or basically they just paid for projects instead of bonding them. And some feel as if they had bonded some of these projects, they might be in a better financial shape. Have you had a chance to dig into that at all, Linda, in terms of how you think the county got to where it is in its financial condition right now?
I do think, and I know that a lot of the programs we oversee do get a lot of grants. I think maybe along the way we could have pushed for and try to get some more grant money for these projects, because they are really vital to the Cape and to stay here in the Cape. So again, I think there should have been a little more proactive research before any decisions were made on the budgets. And that's where I think they could have been finding some other ways of making the cuts so that we wouldn't be in this financial deficit that we're in.
One thing that I see that when you're out on the road covering these stories, if you just talk to Joe and Mary Q Public, is that a lot of them, Linda, honestly don't know what county government is all about. And there's a lot of money that is spent on county government at different levels. And sometimes people say, well, why are we spending any of that if I don't know about county government? So what about that? What about the fact that just the general knowledge of county government and the public is it's very low?
Yes, I've been finding that out on my campaign trail, talking to many people, and even now getting my signatures. The county, what? So,
what are you running for?
Yeah, exactly. So that is my plan along my campaign trail. I'm going to be going up and down from the bridge down to Race Point, visiting as many businesses as I can to get my name out that way, talking to everybody about their concerns, and then I'm going to be also pushing what county government is and how necessary I feel it is to us here in the Cape.
Linda Bond is my guest on this segment of the Sunday Journal. She is running for Barnstable County Commissioner. She's running as a Republican. Now, the way the race sets up right now, Linda, there's yourself and also Ron Beatty and Joe Glynn. Ron is running as a Republican. Joe Glynn, who has tended towards Republican politics in the past, is running as an independent. Mark Forrest is running as a Democrat, and Mary Pat Flynn confirmed to us this week that she is going to run for re-election. So it kind of creates an interesting dynamic in that you're running really with a group of 5 right now for that seat. So how would you distinguish yourself among those candidates? You have one person who's been in office for a long time, another person who's been involved in politics at high levels. You have people who have been, are in the political world on the Cape for quite some time. So how do you kind of distinguish yourself among those candidates at this point?
What I'm going to be bringing to the table is some new and fresh ideas. Just like you said, there are 2 candidates that I'm running against that have been in politics for a very long time. And as we can see, the ways that they've been running things is not working. So I think we need some new and fresh ideas. We need somebody like myself who has been a blue-collar worker all my life. I have worked very hard for the money I've earned, and I do want to stand up for all the other hard-working people out there. And I think that's what we need in government. More than a white collar, we need somebody blue collar that has really, really been there.
Now, as you've taken a look, I would imagine that once you took an interest in deciding to run for this, you've probably been keeping an eye on what the commissioners are doing, all right? And, without going into all the details of it, it's been a little bit of an up and down period for the current board of 3 commissioners. Some personality disputes, conflicts, some very heated meetings. So, how would you handle that? Do you have a strategy if you were on that board of 3 at this point? How would you evaluate that group, if you will, how they've been doing, basically?
I think that they need to, I've been going to all of the meetings. If I'm not there, I'm watching it on my iPad at home. And what I've been seeing is they're not working well together. Commissioner Koukounis has brought a lot of wonderful ideas to the table. He researched and developed a wonderful plan so that we wouldn't have to pay for high Boston attorneys, that maybe we could bring it home here to us. And he had laid out the plan very well. He no sooner finished to offer it to a vote, and they just couldn't wait to say no. And I felt that they didn't even give him a chance. They didn't give a discussion. They just took it right off the table without even a discussion whether they agreed with it or not. I believe he brought up a good point that would be saving some money to the county.
Linda, let me ask you a question about restructuring. There's a lot of talk about that recently. We spoke with Patrick Princey, who's the Barnstable member of the Assembly. He has a pretty aggressive proposal to completely transform it. The Truro delegate also has come forward with a plan. Have you looked at either of those, number one? Number two, do you have any thoughts on the current structure? Should there be one board combining the Assembly and the commissioners? Should there be more commissioners, fewer Assembly members? It's kind of wide open, so tackle all those questions.
Right. No, I like the way the executive board is with the 3. I do like the fact that there is an assembly of delegates where each town has an assembly member to go to. I think that's also something people don't know. While I'm campaigning, I tell them there's an assembly delegate. If you have some issue in your town, you can go to them and they can come directly to us. There is a way of them having a voice in their own town. So I like that as a representative. They're really a really really nice, smaller representative directly for that town.
The only issue I have with that, Linda, that I've seen is when you take a look at it, and for people who are not aware of this, when it comes to the Assembly of Delegates in Barnstable County, each town has a member, and that member's voting share is based on the population.
Yes,
so
correct.
obviously the larger towns, Barnstable, Falmouth, Yarmouth,
Yes.
have the larger population vote. So they actually get a larger percentage of the vote. So when people say, well, it's important for all the towns to have a voice, do they really, though? I always question a town like Truro, which has, I think, 0.0 something percentage
Yes, they do,
of
right.
the vote.
Yes, yes.
In reality, is that really having a voice? Because they can't do anything unless they have a much larger coalition along with them. So, I'm just throwing that out there. That's what people are saying. You may get asked that on the campaign trail.
Yes.
In reality,
yes.
what kind of voice is that?
Yes, well, again, on my campaign trail, I'd like to talk to the people out in Truro and get them more active in their voice, seeing as if they don't have a larger percentage because as I know, the Truro Assembly has brought forth, they are in an area where they really are surrounded by the water completely around them, and their big industry is the fishing industry down there, and.
So you're open. So am I here? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
You're open to basically hearing a lot of these ideas, though. As you
Yes,
go
I
out
am.
there. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Now, we're almost out of time, Linda, but as you move forward, what's the strategy, number one? You have these other candidates you're running against, but also just educating people. A big challenge that you have when you're running for any county seat is not only just educating the voter about yourself, but sometimes from the beginning, educating them about what the job is, literally from zero up. So
yes.
What's your strategy on that?
Yes, well, I would start in telling them about all the fine programs that we have here and that we really want to keep them in the county. And so far, my consensus, speaking with a lot of people, they're feeling the same way. They don't want anything leaving Cape Cod. People that live in the Cape are very proud of the Cape. They love where they live. And I truly believe a lot of them want the county government to stay here. So I've been getting a lot of good feedback on that. And they do agree that, it is the people in the seats that are going to be making a difference.
Linda, you have your formal kickoff on the 13th of March, correct?
Yep.
That's at 4:30 at the Irish Village in South Yarmouth. We always let the candidates as well, let the listeners know about their website. You are lindaabond.com for people who want some more information about your candidacy, right?
Yes.
Linda A. Bond. Well, Linda, we hope that this will be the first of several visits as you campaign. As we say to all the candidates, we look forward to them stopping by throughout the campaign to talk about the various issues, and we will see you out on the campaign trail. I appreciate you coming by today for your first long-form interview with us to talk about running for Barnstable County Commissioner.
Thank you, Matt. And again, thank you very much for having me today. I really enjoyed my time here.
Our pleasure. Thanks for being with us, Linda. Yep. Linda Bond, running for Barnstable County Commissioner as we continue here on the Sunday Journal. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host, Matt Pitta.
Sunny skies throughout the day today with a high that'll